In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hola, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hippies and straights around the world. This is your old buddy, Dr. Woody John Konopak, down in Albuquerque, New Mexico, clambering, scrambling, grasping, and climbing atop the worldwide hippies, citizen journalists exchange gnarled, battered, but still noble soapbox today to discourse on the C word. Don't know if you saw it, but today in the New York Times, on his blog actually, for the New York Times, Nobel-winning economist and world-class gadfly Paul Krugman approved, even endorsed the following sentiments, which he extrapolated from some other source. The source said, "I conjecture that Austerians are concerned that anti-recessionary macro policy will allow a country to muddle through a crisis without, quote, improving its institutions." In other words, they fear that a successful stimulus would be a waste of a good crisis. As an aside, I want to say Austerians is a great word. I think Krugman himself coined it. It's genius in that it draws together the two contributing skeins of the meme, and having blended them so nicely, ridicules them relentlessly. You start with austerity, we all hear that obviously, but then also the Vienna School of economists in the late 19th, early 20th century, the Austrians, whose theories, when implemented, such as in post-Soviet Russia, have never shown the slightest evidence of success and most always have failed dismally. A fine mockery, but then I guess I digress. Anyway, Krugman then goes on to say what Smith, who's the author of the piece, didn't quote, somewhat surprisingly, is that his argument is very close to Naomi Klein's in The Shock Doctrine, with its argument that elites systematically exploit disasters to push through neoliberal policies, even if those policies are essentially irrelevant or even destructive to the sources of the disaster, or encourage it. I wrote in reply what neither Klein nor Krugman, nor anyone else in the lapdog corporate press on any side of any stripe, and not at all surprisingly, will venture to discuss is the consequent, shall we say, subsequent speculation, possibility, maybe probability that the elites, because of their consonant and often intimately shared interests and influences, they might have an incentive to actually promote or possibly, heaven forbid, permit, or even, heaven, Lord, no, perpetrate crises in order to provide the public a stimuli that's needed to be able to have fertile ground for the structural reforms they want to encourage. Unthinkable, I know. But then what would you call it when, say, the 400 or so people or families which collectively own more of the national wealth than the 150 million citizens occupying the other 47% combined, what might you call those people who have reasons, or at least the opportunity and the interest, in colluding with one another to ensure their good continued fortune? I think it begins with a C. Elite interests are self-avowedly trans or extra-national. They trade in passports like used apparel. They have no loyalties except for their own class interests. Health insurance, for example, suits their needs, not for care, mind you, but for spare change. The right to work laws suit their interests. Unions are such a bother. And even the imported help nowadays are getting uppity. Jeez. As Leona Helmsley remarked, rules, you know, are for little people. That's us hippies. See you at the beach.